Hello everyone. Sorry I'm late. I was having my YouTube singing session. Got a bit carried away there. Cutting out some leaves while I was doing that. So let's go ahead and get you up in the holder and we'll get started. Hopefully I've got this at the right angle. I had to take it down to do the quiz last night, so might have to faff a bit here. Let's have a go. Right, here we go. You're going up. Whoa. Oh dear. Wow. Sorry everyone, I threw you on the floor. That was a good start. Let's try that again. When I said there was going to be a bit faff, I didn't mean I was going to throw you on the floor. That was an accident. Okay, need to move a little bit. Okay, that looks okay. Right, sorry if I just gave anyone a heart attack. I gave myself one. Luckily, I could still reach it, because sometimes when things go down there, I can't get to it. So, phew, you didn't go right in the corner. Sorry about that, everyone. So, today, let me just get rid of that. Turn my phone on quiet. Right, today I'm going to be doing, so over on the Thompson's Craft Supplies group, we've been trying to keep you entertained everywhere as much as possible. So our newest DT member, Ali, who's, you know, it's such sad timing. I'm so sad that this happened now. So I finally decided, yay, Ali can be a full-time design team member. And then we go into lockdown, so I sent her mini kit, but yeah, her first full kit's gonna have to wait till we open again. But anyway, she's been trying to keep you entertained on the group, and I'm going to do her challenge today. So I did one of her last challenge, which was it? Yeah, it was this piece. I've done quite a lot of crafting lately, I forgot. So Ali's last challenge I did was this piece, so it was the pastel colours challenge, so you could still go and enter for fun. We've drawn the prize winner, but if you wanted to take part for fun, hi Kasha. So this is what I did. So there was peach, pink and kind of green pastel tones on there, so that was my take. So this week's challenge is a full green colour scheme. So you're just taking the colour scheme. It doesn't have to be all the colours. It could be one colour, whatever you want to do. And you can add other things. It doesn't have to be just that. So today was green, so I've pulled out lots of green stuff. I'm liking art journaling at the minute. I've started this page last night before my shelf fell on me. It's all going on here, honestly. Being inside is dangerous, people. But do stay inside, I'm just joking. So I thought I'd do another page. So I thought of green, what do I think of that I love? And straight away leaves popped into my head. So anyone that knows me and my crafting, I love flowers and leaves. So green straight away said to me, leaves. So I thought, art journal is usually kind of a reflection thing. It's kind of thoughts, feelings, for me anyway. It can just be to let out something, whatever you want to do. So I thought, so leaves, and I thought, well, I want to do a photo. So I checked there was no one outside, and I grabbed some of the branches and like peeked out of them. So I thought, either am I spying on something, or I'm feeling trapped in somewhere. I don't know, but that's what I was feeling at the time. So this is the photo I'm going to use. So I've pulled lots of green. So let's show you what I've got to start with. Of course, I've got my impastos. This is green apple and bottle green. I got my watercolours out, which I haven't used for ages. They're not in the best condition. So there's some nice greens in there. This is Prima Tropicals watercolours. So I thought I would use them. I've got quite a few greens in here. This is Vicky Boutin, the watercolour markers. I grabbed some ink, so I found Distress, Twisted Citron, Dina Wakley Gloss Lime. I found two Lindy's, so this is Lindy's Starburst Squirt in Emerald and the Magicals in Ponderosa Pines Olives. So there's some inks. I found a couple of paints. sheets. I don't know if I'll use all this. I've just got it all out. So here is Prima Opal Magic Teal Pink, Fabric Deco Rustic Paint Malachite. That might be nice because it's textured, so for leaves. One of our new products, Pentop Patina Effect. So there's some greens in there. And then I had a look at some things. So I love this pack. This is the what's the pack called? I've forgotten the name of the pack. So it's a pack of papers by AB Studio. That's all stuff you can fussy cut. I'm sorry, I've totally forgotten the name. But this is one of the sheets in there, Leafy Paradise. So straight away that screamed at me. So I've cut a few of those out ready. Also got AB Studios chipboards and grey boards. So lots of leaves. I found some stamps. So this is Prima Sweet Sprigs and AB Studio ID2. This is a leaf. And then I've got an AB Studio stencil. I don't have the name on me at the moment, sorry, but this one is on the website. And just a generic stencil, ID70 AB Studio, one of my favourites. And I wanted to use some more of this tissue paper. It's not quite the right colour, this is browns, but we can colour it. So I just thought a bit of that might be nice in the background. So, whew, that was a lot of stuff to go through. So let's start. I'm going to do a whole coat of clear gesso because I'm going to be using ink, so very important today. So I'm going to cover the whole lot. This gesso is quite sticky, so at the same time I'm going to lay a bit of the tissue paper down. That's going to be my first step. So when you're using tissue papers, as Kasha said in a demo the other day, you don't necessarily have to use gel medium for tissue and decoupage and rice papers. You could, if your gesso is, you feel it's good enough, you could use that as your adhesive at the same time. You can always go back if there's a little section maybe that's not sticking and put some gel under there just to get a good grab. I'm just going to move that. I've got a feeling that's going to go down where the phone just went. Don't want that to happen. So this is quite a thick gesso. You can actually water this down a bit. It's very, very sticky. So I know this will grab my papers nicely. Go down the spine is quite important because it's tilting down into that spine. A lot of the time the liquids end up there, so that's quite an important part to get. Okay, so while this is still wet, let's get some little sections of tissue paper. I don't really want any of the red, so I think I'll take this floral section at the edge. You can rip these or cut them with scissors, whatever you prefer. They don't have those grainy bits in like a rice paper has, but they will have a direction they tear naturally. So going across this paper is the natural tear. Going down, I'm going against the grain, so that's why it's tearing a bit awkwardly. So if you want a nice neat edge, then do that with your scissors. I'm not so concerned here. Okay, so I'm going to pop some, not everywhere, because this isn't the main focus of my page today. So I'm just popping a little bit more under there, and I'll go on top of that as well. So that preps the paper as well to have more mediums put on top of it after. Don't get it too wet as well. It's very important with rice paper. Don't get it too wet because you will pull the colours off of the paper. Maybe go here with that one, I think. This is a little bit dry here, so I'm just going to do a bit more. So gesso is generally more is cheaper than gel medium, so that's another reason to perhaps use your gesso. got a cat. It's my own fault because I felt a bit lonely, I guess, the last few days. There's a cat from the neighborhood and he just keeps crying and crying at me. It's like having a baby, honestly. But I have been going out and giving him a little piece of ham and stuff the last few days. But yeah, I've never heard a cat like it. Normally a cat is meow and that's it. He is meow, 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 meow. It's like, oh my goodness, be quiet. Right, so that's our very basic first layer. I'm gonna just grab my heat tool. Oh. And dry that. Oh, there's quite a lot of people watching. Hello, if you're joining us. I don't know if someone shared this stream. If you did, thank you. So, oh, there's my water spray. You can scrunch the tissue paper up as well. When you put that on, you don't have to put it on flat if you want to get a bit more texture. I'll show you. Where did it go? Somewhere. So yeah, no, this is quite a flat one, but I've done, this is a little bit scrunched, not massively, a little bit, it's a bit dark looking. The light is so hard to get right in this house. I hope that's a little bit better. Let me just have a quick flip. Did I do... No, that one's flat. So much to fill in this still. Okay, so here you can see on this one it's quite textured. So Kasha, I know, uses that a lot as well, the tissue paper, and it could be plain tissue that you just paint. Right, so that's our first layer. I'm going to go with inks now, so a variety of inks and paints. So I'm going to just get my page quite wet, not too wet, but just so the inks will move a little bit. It's a good idea to put something in between. What I do a lot is the big stencils, I use the packets, so it's going to stop all that ink running through to your next pages or just dripping off the sides. Okay, so I use the 12x12 stencil packs a lot to do this. Okay, so let's start. Let's go Distress Oxide, Twisted Citron. We'll just play. See what happens. And we'll have to stop and dry every so often. See how it's pooling in the middle? That's what I was saying. So it's really important to get that bit. I've got Lindy's Starburst squirts in, what did I say this was? Emerald. Those you can shake up and down because it's a pour, it's not as important. Okay, a bit of that down. Move our page around. And we'll get some tissue just to block the middle bit. I'll use a baby wipe because then I can make like a flower or something out of that at a later date. So moving this around my page. I should have filled my water sprayer up. That's okay, I think I've got enough. What now? Let's go. This will be different because this is glossy. This is Lime, Dina Wakley. Oh, it's very similar to the Distress actually. So I'm not going to do too much of that because it is very similar colour. Let's go with this one, Ponderosa Pines. So this is a sparkly one. I'm trying to press it gently. I am spraying them today. Lately I've used my paintbrush a lot, but I do want that splattery look today. So I am trying to spray. So let's move all this around. Get these drips going, mixing colours. Whoop, not too far. Okay, just blot that spine a bit. Okay, let's give it dry. So this is a good time to now remove the plastic so you don't melt it. And we can slot it back in again after. Okay, so let's dry. So here is our green theme going on already. Looking pretty green and interesting. Get it going up that end. So I'm not going to bone dry it now, just so that I can add another layer on. So when you apply more colours when they're wet, they're going to mix together. If you do dry the layer and then add more, it's going to be creating layers rather than the colours all just mixing into one colour or creating shades. Oops. Okay, so that's covered most of our pages, so I think that's enough of the inks sprays, because we've got other stuff we want to use. So I actually will dry this quite well now, because I'm going to go in with some different mediums. I might just go in with a bit of the gloss. I'm still playing with the gloss sprays, learning how they behave. So let's lay a bit more down and see then how the other layers will react to that. Not too much. So I can see a little bit of pooling here, so I think they are resisting each other a little bit, so that's pretty cool. So they're a gloss acrylic spray, so they're not an ink. They are being used like an ink spray, so in the spritzer, but it's actually a gloss acrylic, so it's pretty interesting. Right, I'm going to get these out the way. Oh, I just remembered I've moved everything. Oh, that's actually really handy. They're over here now, so I can reach them. Yeah, after the shelf fell on me, I thought, right, that's it. This isn't working the way everything is. So let's get that all out the way. Okay, that'll do for now. That's dry enough. So let's get these markers. Let's find some greens. I still love these. So there's a green. Whoops. And a green. And there's a lighter green. That might be nice. That'll do. So these are like a bit like aqua brushes. So you just, there's a little black circle you take out there, screw it back in, and then you just squeeze and it loads up the brush. Yeah, I think green and yellow, maybe orange, are often difficult colours for people. But I think that they can actually be beautiful colours if you're brave and experiment a little bit. They're actually very pretty colours, and we can tone this down. So if this was too much, we could get our gesso or some white and tone this down. So I'm bringing in a darker green here from these pens. I'm going to blend this all in a bit in a minute. Okay, so that is Watermelon Burst. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit scary, but if you think about it, green is a colour that naturally occurs so much in you know, leaves, obviously. That's mint julep. So it's finding a way to use it that works for you. So it could just be hints like on your leaves, and that is juicy pear. So just put a little bit of those down. Don't put the tub cracking up the last few days, honestly. And I'm not even stuck inside. I'm going to work still, not because I have to, and I'm still going mad. Right, well, I'll find that tub later. So I'm just going to get a bit of my water again and get rid of those sharp edges. Okay, and we can move it around a bit again. Oh, that's got some nice pooling down there. That's good. Okay, let's dry again. Taking these away. Right, so I think I'm going to leave the paints till a bit later once I add some more elements on, because they're going to need a bit of paint too. I just cannot. Oh my goodness, it's right in front of me. Let's put those away. I like to keep them together. So just keep moving this around. Mop up that middle bit. And it's another reason it's important to get that spine dry, because the spine obviously holds the whole book together. So you know, this is a well-made book, but if you, especially a lot of cheaper books we might use for art journaling, they're going to fall apart if that spine gets too wet. Yeah, they are watercolor ink. So it's the Vicky Boutin mixed media watercolor markers. You get 12 in a pack, and I love them. And once the barrels are empty, you could refill those with some other ink. I don't see why not, or whatever you wanted, or use them as a watercolor brush. I think we still have some on the website, so that's all the colors you get in there. They're really, really nice. Create such a quick background, so you can see at the bottom saying you can write with them, splatters, watercolor. Yeah, I really like those. Good investment. Okay, so we've got nice layers of different inks here now going on. Just tapping off any excess we've got. Right, I want to get this fairly dry now. Yeah, and I can see the sections where I added that gloss, it has kind of mostly resisted other colours. You can see here as well, in this section, it's kind of pushed all that away, which is what I was hoping it would do, because it's glossy, just like an acrylic paint would. Okay, so next we're going to do some stenciling, just to break up some of this green. I think I'll mix a tiny bit of green into my paste, so it's not completely white, but it'll give something different. Okay, that'll do for now, because we'll need to dry the paste anyway. Paste. Right, I didn't get paste out. 1 second, it's already above my head. Texture paste, here we go. So I'm going to use Fabrique de Courry one. You love greens, yellows and oranges. Good. I love orange and yellow. Green, I do love green. Probably don't use it as much, but orange and yellow and pink is one of my favourite colour combos for like my happy colours. So I'm going to get a scoop of paste onto my mat. Pop it up here. Can see what I'm doing just over here. So I'm popping some onto my mat, I like this paste, it's really thick. Okay, so I've got quite a blob there. I'm gonna do quite a bit of stenciling. And I'm gonna take, let's see. What shall I mix in there? Let's go for, let's use the bottle green. So these impasto paints, very, very pigmented, very thick. So I won't need much, just a tiny blob. So like a pea-sized amount. I'm going to mix that into my texture paste. Just over here. I don't want it to be too green because I do want it to stand out. There we go. That's a nice enough green. And let's not fully mix it and see if we get some white streaks in there. So we've got something like this. Okay, so I'm going to use this one first. This is AB Studio ID70, one of my favorites. Just a hexagonal, yes, pattern with these like circles, and some have got lines in. So I just like that. And I want to try and get rid of this harsh line that the tissue paper's created here. So I'll definitely go somewhat over that. Yeah, that's a perfect colour actually. That's working well. Some over here. I'm not using the stencil fully, just want a randomness to it. Okay, that looks good. I'll clean that in a second. Let's do my other stencil first. So I've got the leaf one as well. This is also AB Studio. I can't remember the number, sorry, but if you look on AB Studio, you'll see it there in our brand section or under stencils. Have I got enough left? I'm gonna do a leaf. Now, as you get nearer the spine, it's more difficult because the page is curved. So it's a bit tricky to do stenciling. You need to hold it well. So we'll see how good a stencil we can get. I'm just repositioning my fingers as I go because it's on the bend of the book. So it's a little bit tricky. Also didn't quite make enough paste. I usually make too much of everything, so I'm trying, oh, I went under there, trying not to make too much. Right, not too bad, a little bit messy there, that's just where the bend is. Let's just get a little bit of water, see if I can. Oh, now I've made it too watery. No, it's fine. I'll get some more. I'll just go in with just the paint, actually. Let's try that. Just for a bit different look. These are fairly thick paints, but they are a paint still, so it won't be as crisp as if I was using the stenciling. The modelling paste, rather. I should have dried my brush a bit there. Palette knife. God, I can't talk the last few days. But I think maybe not seeing people, it's making my brain go off. That wasn't too bad. Just add in a few little leaves poking out. I'm just being careful of my stenciling I've already done not to knock it as well. Bit more paint. Another one peeking out here. Again, this is near the spine, so a bit tricky. So we have to move our fingers. Not the best, but it's okay. I can also flip my stencil over and use it as a stamp. Rub the paint that's on there off, so there's a little bit of texture. Just over here, we can do it again up here maybe. That's a way not to waste any paint and paste as well. I'll use the pale one, the modeling paste bit down here. Let's pop that over here. So it's giving us some more colour and a bit more texture. There we go. Right, let's move my book out the way a second. I am very messy now. So let's get some wipes and clean myself and the stencils. Clean off my palette knife. These are plastic, so it would pick off. It's just easier if you do it as you go along. A little bit of paste stuck on there. See, it does come off. Get rid of that. Just clean this up. And give my hands a good clean because I'm bloody green now. Right, and oh yeah, don't forget the stencils. So best if you get them straight in hot soapy water. If not, carefully with a wipe because you've got delicate bits in there. So try and do wipe in one direction so that you're not catching anything too much. And it's important to do this because otherwise your stencil's not going to be flat and you won't get a nice smooth stenciling when you use it. There we go, do for now. Right, am I clean enough? Yeah, clean enough. Okay, let's bring this back. I'm liking this already. This is looking good. So lots of different tones of green. So that might be one way to find green less intimidating. You can tone it down. You can mix different colours. Right, so I think my next step is going to be some stamping. Now I was originally thinking I might do it embossing clear, but I think it does need a bit of contrast, so I am going to do that in black. I'll get some black ink ready. I'm going to carry on the theme with the leaves. Now I will need to soon bring in my photo and decide where that's going to sit. I've got my die cuts and some chipboards to use as well. What time are we? Oh, only 35 minutes. That's not too bad. Oh, hi Ali, by the way, if I didn't say. If I missed anyone else's comments. No, I've read all those. Good. I like how that stenciling there wasn't perfect now. It's got a really interesting texture. So if you want to take part in this challenge, pop over to the group. I'll put the link in the thread here, but it's Thompson's Craft Supplies group. And the challenge is pinned to the top there, so there's a photo album attached that you can stick the photo of your entry. And next Friday, so the next Friday coming, we will choose a winner at random, and myself or Ali will get something off to you. That little leaf there that we used like a stamp, that's gone really cool. Can you see that? That worked really well. So you've got those different tones peeking out. So using one colour can actually be a lot more interesting than you think when you use tones. So this would be described as a monochrome theme. So monochrome doesn't have to mean black and white. It can mean shades of the same colour or just using 2 colours. Doesn't have to be black and white. Okay, I think we're pretty much dry. Right, so stamping. So we'll get rid of, no, we'll keep them because I might be using them later. Stamping. I don't think I'm going to use those today. Right, let's do some stamping. Don't normally have photopolymer stamps, but I like this set because it's leaves. So I did have this one, so I probably would use a block with this one. Where did I put on? I think photopolymers need them because you can't really hold on to a photopolymer stamp, not like you can with a foam or rubber stamp, in my opinion. Oh, thank you, Claire, that's really kind of you. Yeah, so if you wanted to take part in the challenge, pop over there. We're also doing some silly stuff lately just to try and keep ourselves entertained. So I did a quiz last night, and on Tuesday we're going to do some bingo. So if you want to take part in that, there's an event there, and I've popped a comment at the top saying if you want to take part, comment here and the names of who you want to take part. So if someone else in your household wants to take part, pop their name up there and I will get you a bingo card emailed over before we do it on Tuesday. So it'll be Tuesday night, so that hopefully your kids are in bed 8:30ish. Oops, whoopsie, dropped it. And yeah, so it can be parents, adults, chill time, and we'll just have another little bit of silly fun, and I will do some prizes for that. The quiz you can watch back, so you can still answer it. You know, you want something to do. It's only 3 rounds. A little bit of fun. Let's have this one. So I'm just picking some of the stamps. I don't want to do too much of this because I don't want too much black on here. I want it to be mostly green. So the ink I'm using is VersaFine. This is normal VersaFine. I normally use the Claire because it's nice and juicy for detailed stamps. But this one is okay, I think, with just the normal one. So I'm just popping them around the edge to look like they're jumping out from the corners. That'll do, that's enough. Don't want any more than that. Always end up, when I stamp, I'm useless at stamping. Well, I have got better because I found out I was using the wrong ink, but always end up like this. Is that just me? I'm not great at stamping. It's not my strong point. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to become a top class stamper. Making cards and that sort of thing. It's not me, but I do like to add a bit of stamping. I like embossing as well because it's textured. I don't need that stamp, so they can go back in there. Right, wipe that ink off my hand before I stick black everywhere. That's what makes them cross. I end up then sticking the black ink fingerprints everywhere. Stenciling, what you could try maybe, Claire, is pop a bit of washi tape on your stencil to hold it, or you can get something called, I think it's called stick and spray adhesive, something like that. So it's a temporary adhesive that sticks your stencil down, and that'll hold it, so it might be how you're holding it. It could also be what you're using is very runny. So it's going under the stencil, like squishing out, so you're not getting that crisp edge. So maybe have a look at the mediums you're using. So yeah, that could be it. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Right, I'm just gonna give those stamps a blast just to dry the ink. So we've done that. We're gonna start building now, I think. So I want a little bit of dimension. We have to remember this is a journal, so it's a book that's going to shut. It's not like hinged or anything like that, so there's not much room for it to expand. So we don't want anything too thick, so that's why I'm going to stick with chipboards. They're very thin. That's probably 1.5 millimeters, 1 millimeter thick, so we can add those. And I've got some die cuts from that sheet I showed you. Yeah, so paints. I find the best thing with paints is if you put a little bit on your mat and get a sponge or a paintbrush, wipe as much off as you can of your brush, and then do a kind of that pouncing. Or you can even use your ink blending tool, you know, like the Ranger ones or whatever equivalent you've got. That that helps a lot. So it may be the amount of paint you've got on your brush, or with a palette knife it's harder because you can't control it as much. So if you get a little bit on your brush, wipe that off, and then you're doing this kind of thing, that may help. I think I've wrecked that brush, haven't I? This was a watercolor brush, so very soft. And what did I use it for? My wax. Yeah, I need to try and bring that back to life. Maybe that's going to be my wax brush. Whoops. Right, so let's start thinking. Now I need to color these of some kind. So here's my photo. I think it's going to sit. Well, actually I quite like it there, and it covers a bit more of that line, doesn't it? Yeah, I think maybe it's going to sit up there. So we want everything to draw our eye this way. So at the minute we put this here, and then we've got this patch, and then there's kind of nothing. So these feel like two separate pages at the minute. So we need to try and bridge. There's a kind of natural shape going here now. So we've got this and this. We need something to connect that and to give a bit of balance. So we shall see. And yes, I'm really glad my idea wasn't completely insane, and it does work. I wanted it to look like I'm looking out of the page, hidden in amongst all these leaves. So I'm going to be building some stuff over the picture. That was my idea. I'm glad it worked. So we could have this, and we need to remember this page. So a really easy way is what you're doing to one side, do to the other to give balance. Not exactly, but if you're putting something really heavy here, you need something there to balance it. So like where I did this big patch of stenciling here, I mimicked that on this side with these two smaller patches. So that does help a lot. I think I'll have this big leaf up here. And we could have, no, I don't like that. No. I'm not feeling that. So it's just getting all your elements now and having a play. I don't like 2s, but I'm struggling to make a 3 work. Okay, so that's okay. And we need to remember to leave a little gap here, otherwise that spine won't shut very well. Okay, so that's going to be our chipboards, which I will colour in a moment. Now these leaves. So we're still missing this link to here. So we need to start working that up. So we could have this like it's coming out of that one, like underneath somewhere there. Maybe this. And this could go, so we're starting to fill this in, so it's going to look joined. Okay, and maybe this can go on top of there, and this here. Okay, and it's, yeah, I want it quite busy with the leaves because I want it to look like a bit of a jungle or something. Okay, so this is the ideas. So I think I'll start by sticking the photo down. I'll just get some, I'll get some foamed, very thin foam tape. So this, so I'll just move those elements. I won't stick right to the edge because I'm aware I want to tuck a few bits in. So I like foam tape because you can just tear it and it gives a little bit of dimension without the full-on dimension when you put like chipboards or something behind there. So I've gone in the middle so that I've got bits to tuck in. Hi Hazel, thank you. Yeah, no worries, it will be posted again once it's finished. It usually takes a couple of minutes just to post after. So I've now got quite a bit of space to tuck where I've not glued right to the edge. So I like that. I'll go flat for this. Now this is not a smooth surface, so I think I'll switch to a gel to be sure. Probably a soft gel or a light, not a light gel, but a medium acrylic or soft matte gel, that sort of, whatever the description of your brand is you've got, would be enough. But I like to just use 3D gel, just to be sure. Seeing as this brush is gone, I may as well use it for my gel as well. To be honest, I barely ever use my watercolours. See, you can see I didn't use them again, which is a shame because I do really love watercolours. So it's something I must get back into. Right, now, what else was I having over there? There was some other things. Where did I put them? I took them off to glue them down, and now I've lost them. Oh, it's these ones, isn't it? There we go. So I think the first one can be flat, maybe going under a little bit. Yeah. So I'm just popping little bits of gel on the back all the way down the length. Just little touches like this. So I'm going to have a little bit poking under, if I can get it under, there we go. A little bit like that and a little bit over. Whoops. So some of the leaves are catching me. Ah, thank you, Cleo. Thanks, Louise. Yeah, I'm glad that sometimes you have an idea in your head and it doesn't end up the same on the page, but this one has. So I'm going to get some small foam dots, some little squares, but I'll also use gel as well just to be sure this stays. Foam dots this time because they're quite small shapes, and to cut my chipboard that small and for it to still be you know, keep its structure would be quite difficult. So I'm going to use foam dots and then add a bit of gel on the back just to make sure they do stick. You could stick gel down before you attach the foam dots as well to make sure they stayed stuck to the image. Right, so that's that cluster. This one is going flat, so let's move my page over so you can see this side. I'll come back to that one. So this one is going to go flat on there, so I'll start with that. and then these are going to go on top. Right, so I need to now stop and colour these chipboards before I go any further. So we'll move the book out the way a second. Ah, thank you, Louise, that's really kind. Oh yeah, our viewers have shot up actually, thank you, so that's really helped. So I'm going to bring back my impasto paint. So I don't need to prep these with gesso because these are such pigmented paints. And I'm just going to use my finger, which will give us more texture because it really holds texture well, this paint. And I quite like a textured look, so we can apply it on thicker if we want a really textured look. Hopefully you can see that. And I'll get both paints so we get like a blend of colours. I'll use one finger for each one. So to get that kind of natural I can't say that word, variegation. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, I think, that leaves have. So these are a bit more expensive paints, but that said, if you don't mind your kids joining in, they are really fun paints to get your kids using because they just take you back to, you know, when you did stuff like this, had a bit of fun, get messy. There we go. So, oh hi Charmaine, wow, from across the pond. How are things there? I hope all is well. I hope everyone's okay everywhere. Yeah, I don't want to go on too much about it all, but yeah, it's a mad time we're in, isn't it? And I really hope that it's all going to be over soon. But I don't want people to forget this. I want this time to have been what we've learned in this time to stick with us. Time with your family, learning to be kind to one another, because sometimes we're not, maybe not intentionally because we're busy or whatever it is, but even the smallest little thing really goes a long way with people. We don't know what people are going through day to day a lot of the time, so just the smallest gesture can often mean a lot to someone. So, and we're seeing that a lot at the minute, like the things we've done with the NHS, you know, just giving them a clap. Okay Lisa, thank you for watching. That really got to people. People were crying, and people, you know, even who aren't in the NHS got really teared up over that. And all it was a clap. So yeah, I would like people to remember that when this is all over, and still make time to do nice gestures like that for one another. So I'm just going down, mixing the different paints, trying to get a sort of real life look to my leaves. And these paints are matte, so that's another thing I like about them. I love paints, but you don't always want that glossy feel to your work, especially if you're working on something like vintage or rusty, say. You don't always want that glossy look. So I love these paints. They are my favorite thing, I have to say, out of all paints. Now look, I've been very naughty here. I've got a pot of glue with no lid on it. Naughty. Right, clean my hand. Yeah, throw my book on the floor. No, let's not do that. An avalanche happening here. I'm trying so hard to organise the space and keep it tidy, but it's such a small space I'm working in at the minute that it's very difficult. So this section I'm in is kind of a computer desk with a few shelves above it, and then I've got kind of a longer shelf to the left, and that is it. I don't have any more, and as you can imagine, I have quite a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's very difficult, and I'm not a tidy person naturally, but I'm having to try to be. So it is challenging for me. Right, okay, let's dry those quick. Another good thing about impasto is it dries pretty quickly. I think they're probably almost dry now anyway. So it just holds texture and pattern so well. And one of my favourite things to do with impasto is to get the heavy body gel, so the thickest gel of all, thicker than the 3D gel, and mix it with these paints to make my own custom gels, or almost imitative of acrylic paints, and stencil with them, and they give such a yummy finish, so crisp. But they just hold everything. Look, you can see every little bit that I've mixed there. It's fab. Right, so I think they are dry. Yep. Right, so let's bring our page back. We're almost finished now, guys. Whoops. And we're going to pop these on. So let's try to remember where they went. So the big leaf was on the right side. This one was coming out here. And this one was down here. Right, so let's start sticking. So I'm going to use the same gel. I'll need a little bit more, but they're only chipboards, so they are light, so we're not drowning in it. We don't want like loads of excess to squish out the sides, so not too much. There we go. And then the leaf was going to sit on the top. Now, which one was it? This one, wasn't it? Yeah, this one. So a bit of gel again on the back, and I'm going to layer that over the top. Something like that. So that's that one. So let's do this side. So put this over, bits of gel, not everywhere, just want it to grab and not have any bits sort of stick up. In a book that's quite important, because when we close it, it'll catch bits, we could break things. So we want all the sort of big bits to stick down. So this is going to come out like that. Just get that bit of gel off that's sticking out there. Oops, smooth that a little bit. Okay. And there was a big leaf with this side. Hi Gail. How are you, lovely? And we'll have that coming out there. There. Okay, and this needs a little bit of support under there, so I'll just get a foam dot for each. Just sit under those leaves that are dangling over the edge there. Huh, get off. There we go, lovely. And lastly over this side, and then we just need some words and we're finished. So let's get the chipboard one down first. Making sure I haven't missed a message. I thought something popped up then. Put down the spine. And that's going to come out here. And this one, was I gonna have that? I actually use that there instead, actually. A bit more over my photo. And I'll do it flat onto the photo. So that's what my photo is supposed to be about, that I'm like coming out of the page, I'm hiding in there. Oops. Just get that off. I hate getting gel on a photo, it makes me cross. Right, so that's that. Ooh, there was supposed to be something here, wasn't there? I still need something just to join this section. So what I might do is, I think just some stamping should fix that. It's not too bad because this side is going like this, so that's okay. It's just this gap here. So what, I've got some oxides actually, so I don't want it to be too much. Let's maybe use, so we'll use bundled sage. Actually no, I want a little bit darker than that. Let's go with that one. Evergreen bough. Stamp. What shall we use? Something textury. Some really old stamps. What's in here? Really old stamps. What's that? Oh, a little swill, that'll do. Swill, I say that word funny. Swill. So we'll go with that. And I'm just going to bridge this gap. Okay, that's much better. I'll just make a bit of a feature of it. So I'll bring that down, lift the photo up a little bit. Much better. So now we've got fluid movement through here. We'll add a bit of that in other places just so it's not too, you know, plonked there, because we didn't like something. So we'll make a feature of it. So I'm just repeating this just randomly around the page. It's quite subtle colour against this background, so it's not too much. And so these I like, you can just pick them up and we don't get a perfect stamp, which is what I'm looking for, just some texture. I've given you an idea for a scrapbook you're doing for Maureen's 60th in September. I'm working with photos and memorabilia I've had over 43 years of friendship. Thank you. Oh, that's great, Hazel. Brilliant. Wow, and 60. She doesn't look it. Doesn't look it at all. Yeah, that'll be a really lovely gift. I'm sure she'll love that. She'll probably get a bit teary about that, I expect. And I love you two. Just these two friends. They've come to a couple of our retreats. Just go around their kind of spare time and money and do lots of crafting. Craft events. And I love it. I love you guys. So sweet what you do together. And that's a friendship there. Right, so we just need some words. So let me get my pile. I do have a pile of word stickers and things. Let's see, this is what fell on me the other day. Naughty things. Let's find something. Oh, I just saw a beautiful garden. That's gonna work, isn't it? There's actually the Halloween stickers, but that, look at that, it just jumped out at me. A beautiful garden. So maybe that can, that's not the title. I need a bit of glue under there because it's going on top of paint. Beautiful garden. That's going to sit down there. And I will probably put a bit of ink on top of that. In fact, I've got some on my finger. So there we go. Just to tie that in. Because remember that oxides are water reactive, so anything water based we put on top will reactivate them. So there was some of that oxide stamping down there, so that gel reactivated them, which was actually good in that case. So that was that. That's not my title though. I want something here, I think, which again will help with that, because we'll look at the photo then the word. So I want something a bit bigger, I think. Let's see what's in this one. I want white, I think. Oh. I've lost half of that book when it fell on my head, because that's all the black ones. Right, so somewhere in here will be the white ones. Oh, funny. Or there's this, which could work. It says go find yourself, so I'm lost in the bushes, so could it be go find yourself? So I'll put that there for a second. The other part? No. Well, I don't know where that's gone. Right, we'll have to go over plan B then. Something else. Maybe a chip word. So, sorry, that's right where the camera is. One of the new chip words. Lost and found. That could work well, couldn't it? Because I am lost at the moment and I have found myself. And maybe with the go and find yourself. Yep, I think we have a plan here. So these are Merrima's Small Art stickers. We've still got some in stock. So that could go down here maybe, I think. Oh, I need to, it's quite long. So I need a big enough gap. I should have probably put this on first before all those chipboards. I could go into the spine. Okay, they're quite sticky, so I'm not too concerned about that. And then, yeah, we'll have the lost and found here. Now these are quite bulky, so we need quite a generous amount of gel on here. No, that's totally understandable. July, I'm hoping everything's going to be back to normal by then. Oh, that's going to be wonderful. Now I'm trying to move it a little bit away from the spine so that it shuts okay. Let's try and squeeze it in between those leaves. There we go. Oh, there's a bit more message. Ah, that's nice. Well worth travelling from Scotland, apparently. So there you go, you heard it from Hazel. Thank you, that's so kind. Right, and I want to just colour those a little bit, so I'll bring back that same ink. And I'm quite naughty, I just do this with my finger. So I'm just going to... I don't need to fully cover them, just that'll do. And we'll do someone to here. Now this is glossy, so I'm not sure how well this will stick. We could put some clear gesso on here and then colour it. I think we've got good enough coverage. There we go. There we go, and we're done. I think the last thing, I just want to add some splatters. Now I do have that nice new white Dina Wakefield spray. Can I find it? I've just had to move everything today, so can I find it? gloves, I'm sorry. So cover the photo, very important before you splatter. I want to cover the words as well. Let's cover that and cover this section. Right, and some splatters. This is one of my new favorite things for splatters. I can't, is there black? There's a very dark grey, I think. I'm not sure if there's a black in these sprays. I've forgotten. Oh no, it's a dark blue, isn't it? That would be nice for splatters though. I'm just going to move that down a little bit. And up a bit. And we are done, people. So let's have a look. Take all this off. There we go. So there is my green page for our challenge over on the group at Thompson's Craft Supplies group. Ah, thank you, Cleo. Scrapbooks are a great way to start, or an art journal, and you don't need something expensive like this. You can use an old notebook, get an old book, anything. As long as you gesso those pages, you can use anything really. If it's a very thin paper, you can always glue a few pages together to give you something a bit sturdier to work on. So I really recommend that, or scrapbooking. I think to start with, journaling may be easier for a lot of you who are used to smaller projects because it's smaller. Plus you're limited on the dimension you can build. So you're not getting too boggled with so many embellishments, what to use, what not to use. So maybe give art journaling a try. And I think in this time where we're maybe a little bit stressed, a bit emotional, an art journal would be a great thing to start right now, to get your frustrations out, especially if you've got kids where you don't want to show that. Maybe you're a little bit scared or frustrated. Start an art journal. It'll be a great thing. So here is my kind of expression of the moment. I'm lost in the trees, but I will be found and I will find myself, and give it a go. So get going over to the group, give this challenge a go. We've also got our bi-monthly challenge, which is the tic-tac-toe, and you might win a prize and hopefully help your mental health. So thanks for watching, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. See you again soon. Bye.